And we are live. Yes. We're live on Let's Think Podcast. I'm your host, Sheikh 7 Islam Male. Our co-host Jarvis McGriffell will be in shortly. He had a couple technical difficulties, but all is well. Don't forget the intro, our brother Feds Dilla. Don't forget the intro, our brother Feds Dilla. Support your urban Islamic experience. And of course, as is traditional and customary, I rise giving all thanks and perfect praises unto Allah. Highest honors to his noble prophet, Drew Ali. Honors to the Moorish Science Temple of America. Honors to my leadership, Brother Morris, Brother L. Portisel. And honors to the Grand Sheikh and Sister M. Portisel. Honors to his staff. Honors to all leaders, past, present, and future. And honors to all participating in this comprehensive program of uplifting fallen humanity. Yes, and we're here today with a very interesting brother. Shall I say intelligent brother, without doubt, because that's what we do here on Let's Think Podcast. We try to speak to those who have a level of intelligence. However, we have our brother Baba Shuaib. How are you today, brother?
Alhamdulillah, my dear brother. I'm doing well. I'm doing good. Actually, I was running against time, so I had to be on time. So thanks to God, I'm here on time actually to grace your platform as well. It's been a long time coming. I think we've been working things out behind the scene, and thanks to God, finally we are here. Alhamdulillah. Thanks to God. I appreciate your platform and I appreciate your audience who are also interested in hearing my perspective also.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And honors to your platform, as I'm pretty sure you're streaming to your platform. I'd like to say honors to them and thank you for tuning in. And for everybody who's coming into the chat, peace. We got Brother Wise, the Dome TV, peace. It seems like the brother dropped out for a second. I don't know what happened. Um, but we're still live. He'll pop back on. There he is. There he is. Add him back to the stage. We
Yeah.
got brother Wiser Dome Peace. We got someone that says Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam. Uh and I cannot pronounce that. I can't say it. Mahdi. Okay, salam. Um okay. Well, like you said, it's been a long time coming. Yeah, I first want to say shout out to my brother Eric Johnson L, who first shared one of your videos. And that's how I found you on Facebook through my brother Eric Johnson there. And from there, I felt it was a very interesting topic because I hadn't heard, you know, brothers, come with that perspective as strongly as you did, and allow me to say as well versed as you are in the Great Koran. I hadn't seen a brother come as strongly and then speak as adamantly as you do. So
Exactly.
um, I appreciate what you do. I appreciate your channel, your platform as well. And we're gonna introduce you to our platform.
Yeah.
So, brother, can you tell the people where you from, where you from, and where you reside?
Originally, when we say Baba Shuaib, my real name is Shuaib Abdullahi.
Hmm.
Shuaib, which denotes from the meaning, it's somebody who leads people to the right path, or somebody who helps to show people the right path. That's what Shuaib means. Abdullahi means the servant of God, right? So
Yeah.
this is a name given to me by my father, inspired by my grandfather, who is also called Shuaib,
Hmm.
and it was taken from the Quran and assigned to me. So along the way, my dad decided to give me a nickname Baba. So
Hmm.
Baba along the tribe to denote that you know the the other version, the replicate of his father. You understand? So meaning I'm the other version of his father. So he gave me the name Baba Tribe. But then coming from that, along the line when I started doing my videos, I got the name correctional officer, originally coming from Ghana.
Hmm.
I'm from Ghana, born in Accra, Nima Accra, and the reason behind correctional officer is to actually lead the people to see beyond what the scholars have been telling us,
Mm.
meaning um, meaning to think outside the box,
Yes, sir.
right? So, me being Shuaib in the first place, I have to live up to the standard of my name,
Mm.
right? I have to represent my name.
Yes.
So, many a times I come across, I'll meet people, I'll ask them, "What's your name?" Then the person will be like, "My name is this," and I ask them, "What does it mean?" And the person was like, "Oh, I never thought of that." I'm like, "Are you serious?" Because I
Mm.
got to understand at a tender age that if you don't know where you're coming from, you can never know where you're going.
Mm.
When you know where you're coming from, you will
Yes.
eventually know where you're going, right?
Mm.
Because even if you lose your roots to the place, you can still go back and trace your footsteps and come back and do better. So, Baba Shuaib in general is somebody who is out there on social media to actually show the people the other side of things that they have not been told. So the other perspective, so that they can get to look at it from a different angle and make the decision for themselves. Right. So this is who I am. I'm from Ghana, but usually I represent for everybody. So it's not like I'm doing this to say I'm a Ghanaian and boasting to be representing Ghana. No, I represent everybody. So this is in summary, this is who I am. Yeah. But in case like somebody would want to say, okay, what actually motivates me to do what I'm doing? First of all, I would say it's an inspiration. I was inspired by God to do what I'm doing because when people watch my videos, the fearlessness I use, the courage I have, the confidence I have, the zeal I have to speak the truth, it can be detected from my face and my eyes and my demeanor,
Yes,
right?
sir.
So I say things, I mean what I say, and I say things I can prove. But sometimes when people don't understand your perspective, they are quick to judge.
Yes,
And
sir.
we are in a generation where people are being prejudgmental, right? They don't try to listen to your perspective and verify before they pass on the conclusions. They rather like to decide. Yeah, and they'll be like, who is this guy? Does he think he knows better than our scholars? In the first place, you, the layman, how did you get the chance to actually assess the level of your knowledge of your scholar?
Mm.
Because you are
Ooh.
a layman. So, how did you get to know that this scholar is maybe more knowledgeable in the first place? How did he go? Because when he tells you things and you don't verify, how are you sure he's not lying?
Right.
You
Yes.
see,
Yes,
so
sir.
people are just oblivion to the fact that like is just like when I see people being fooled or I would say to find themselves bamboozled, I just sit back, I smile, and I'm like, this is obvious. Why can't they see it?
Mm. Yeah.
But then I realize we all have eyes, but some people need glasses to see better.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
so same goes in the aspect of wisdom. When somebody is being fooled, you might see it from the angle that the person is being fooled, but from the person's angle, he doesn't see it that way because he might have been blinded spiritually not to see that.
Yes.
You see, so
Yes, sir.
yeah, growing up as a from my humble beginnings, which I will never have it in no other way, um, because that's the way God designed it to be,
Yes, sir.
right? But the choices I will make now determines my future. But when I made the choices growing up in my humble beginnings, I might be ignorant in some things at that time, but yes, God decided that I will reach this level with that. So now that I'm enlightened, the decisions I'm going to make, I will have myself to blame because
Yes.
God has already empowered me, giving me the tools I need to embark on the journey. So it's just hypothetically speaking, it's just like working in a company and the boss has presented all the tools needed for the work. You don't expect the boss to do anything again for you. You see, then
Absolutely.
yeah. So this is what I'm about, and that's why most people, when they take their time to listen to me, they can resonate with the message I have to present, right? Because
Yes.
I don't force people to agree with me. Fine, we can agree to disagree. Even in a family, if a father can disagree with the son, and a wife can disagree with the husband can disagree with his daughter, but it doesn't mean we should be divided. The objective is the truth. The truth matters more than everything. So in
Yeah.
Quran chapter 103, verse 1 to verse 3, it clearly says, by every era, the human being is in lost, except those who hand down with the truth and those who hand down with patience. These two things are needed in every era or generation to survive.
Mm.
It's very important and essential going forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. And one thing that I definitely took note to when I came stumbled upon your videos is that how relentless you were at going against the narrative, the popular narrative. See, I'm from United States of America, as everybody probably knows
Yeah.
by now. And you know that narrative, that popular narrative,
Mm-hmm.
that the Sunni Salafi etc narrative is very prevalent in the Islamic community in North America.
Yes.
It's very dominant. And in a lot of places, we have our brothers who get into such degree or such school of thought, and then what we would call lose themselves. Brothers stop speaking as if they're from Charlotte, North Carolina, and they begin to speak as if they're from Arabia, or
Yeah.
brothers begin to dye their beards red and orange, saying that
Mm-hmm.
they're following the sunnah of the prophet, or they begin to roll their pants up above their ankles and feel as though it's haram not to have a pair of pants that's below the ankle, etc. A lot of things that I would say are plaguing, certain brothers and sisters' minds as it pertains to Islam and being a believer or being of the submitters.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing I really noticed about you.
Yeah.
And I said, wow. And I
Yeah.
never heard somebody go so hard at Hadith.
Yeah.
Hadith. And I also saw other scholars, um of their schools of thought actually go with you too. So it's like, it's not like you're not on their radar and you're not grabbing their attention. So what led you initially to be on what ones would call the Quran only path?
Like I said, this happened in 2010. I was inspired by it, right? It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't something I just sat down and think, oh, the scholars are lying or something. No.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had a dream. I was sleeping and I started having a dream of hellfire,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in the dream, I could see people that I know in hellfire.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't make sense to me. I could see me saving people in hell. I wasn't feeling the heat, but I could see people crying and crying for help whilst I was helping them.
Mm-hmm.
So I woke up from the dream and I was crying.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, this is unusual because it never happened to me that way. So I slept again. Imagine going to bed again and seeing the same dream again.
Wow.
So I became nervous. I was shivering, right? I was having goosebumps and shivering and scared. So I was telling God, like, this is unusual. This is not something which normally happens to me. So what is happening? So then I got up. Um, I decided, okay, let me just wash myself, ablution, and pray. But at that time, I had the concept of the old ways we have been taught from the Sunni things. So I washed myself, I prayed, but in the prayer, I was inspired not to mention anybody's name but God. So I mention only God. I don't mention the prophet. I don't mention anybody but God, meaning you don't call on anybody. So I did that. When I did that, then I told God in the prayer that I was in the sujood. I told God that, please, if you're giving me a sign or you're telling me something, I just need it to be explicit. Like, give me clarity. Why am I seeing this? And if it's a message, can I get it like in a way that I can understand? So guess what? When I slept that night, when I see a dream, any verse number that comes to my head, I go to my phone, I open the Quran, I check the verse number, and it has to do with hell fire. I didn't know the Quran in that way before. Of course, I've went to madrasa in Ghana, right? But I didn't know the Quran the way you think I know it. I talk about the Quran and go into in depth and mention verse number. No, I didn't knew it that way. Back then, we were only taught how to just read, recite. That's all. Okay. Now, going forward, I abandoned everything I was taught in the past to start again. Because in order to find out that you have been mentally enslaved, you need to unlearn and relearn. This is something I was inspired by God. I actually prayed to God to give me that insight. Yes. So even this thing I was telling you, it happened during Ramadan, the month of Ramadan in 2010. I think it was in August in 2010. And so I prayed to God and I told God, okay, this dream I've been seeing, please God, let it be easy for me. Give me the answers to it. So now the dream started connecting me to the verse of the Quran, because when I dream and I see a verse number, I go to check the Quran and I see it tallies with the verse number that came to my dream or my head.
Yes, sir.
So I started having a connection, knowing that, okay, God is communicating with me, but I need to understand what he's telling me now. So that raised my curiosity that no, something is not right. We are not doing something right. Why is God connecting? So in that same year, I swear to God, God bear me witness, I could give somebody a call and tell him this is what is going to happen to you, and it does happen.
Wow.
Yeah, it does happen. For people who witness that, who are still alive, some of them can still bear witness to that. They are still alive now. I could call somebody and say, this is what you're going to see, and this is what is going to happen. And it does happen at that time. Right? So then I knew, it got to a point I was telling God, am I crazy or what? I was asking God. So I started going deeper into the Quran, reading, studying the Quran, going deeper. Now the words of God became the ultimate to me. But back then we have been programmed to take the words of men over the words of God. Yes. So when I check, and this thing I'm checking, somebody will say, no, it's impossible for God to, it's a spirit, because I could feel inside me that it's a spirit moving me. But if it's an evil spirit, then it should have moved me to do evil instead. But this spirit was actually pushing me to the Quran, pushing me to the word of God, pushing me to tell people things that they could see. Even my father, who gave birth to me, he thought I was doing witchcraft. I was possessed or something, because I could call him at that time and I tell him, this is what you're going to see. And he sees it and he gets scared. And he says, you're doing sorcery. I'm like, my dad, how did I become a sorcerer? How?
It's a gift.
Yes, it's a gift. It was later on I got guided. I got the insight. I went to Africa. I sat down with him. Then he got to realize, oh, I wasn't possessed. Then he got to realize, you knew what you were doing. I said, yes. But I could feel the spirit moving me towards God and giving me the inspiration to understand the message of God. So when people misunderstand this concept, the sectarians have been told that when somebody is telling you God says something in that demeanor or the manner I came, they don't understand the difference between somebody having a message from God and delivering as a messenger, and somebody who is a prophet. They think it's the same assignment. It's not.
Oh,
Yes.
that there we go. See, now you're starting to touch into things that in our communities they they're like what
Exactly. Exactly. So
in
this,
our communities, Muhammad is the last prophet and the last messenger, and nothing else comes after him. You have to learn the Quran in Arabic. You don't if you can't pray unless you're praying in Arabic or things of that particular nature. You know what I'm saying? And our communities are our communities like you have brothers in certain states right now, brother, who actually will kill each other over these
exactly,
same differences. You see what I'm saying?
exactly.
So, yeah, the effect that I see, and even amongst those who say that they're not affected by it, they're still affected by it because they're affected by the mentality
Yes.
of it. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Not able to sit amongst their own brothers or sisters who don't share the same ideology or perspective as they do. To feel as if everybody that doesn't agree with them or see it the same way that they see it are their enemy. You see what I'm saying? And here in the Moorish Science Temple of America, Noble Jew Ali, our prophet Noble Jew Ali teaches us about religious controversy. You know what I'm saying? And the necessity of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice being practiced by
Yeah.
all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Yes.
Not to speak radical or agitating about any organized group. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we strive to do that, but at the same time, the truth is the truth, and I understand sometimes the truth can cut so deeply into a person's belief that they take it personal and they get emotional about it.
Thank
And
you.
once that happens, then that's when the wars and the battles and the fights and the dissension and the contention start. So I just want to let you know it is no different over here. The scholars pretty much these same scholars you speak of pretty much control the narrative, the Islamic narrative. That's why those of the Moorish Science Temple of America, a lot of us, are, are looked at as not even Muslims. They would call us kafirs. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that type of language. And
Exactly.
so I want to ask you a question. Let's start on and I can only speak on how we're taught in America, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first things that we're taught in America is Shahada.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure that you know what Shahada we say. We say Ashhadu la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And I've seen one of your videos which says for those who may not speak Arabic who may be looking, it was translated that there is no God. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Prophet Muhammad is the messenger or the prophet of God, right? So one thing that I noticed is that one thing that made me ask the question is that Muhammad himself, when he declared his faith, did he say that? Did
No.
he place himself into these into the Shahada?
No.
No. And is that Shahada? Do you accept that as Shahada? And why?
You see, what they do is called shahadatain. It means the two shahadas. You
Mm.
bear witness for God. After that, you bear witness for Muhammad. It's called shahadatain, meaning in Arabic dual, something two. So you're doing this shahada two shahadas. It's a requirement which is not found in the Quran, where God will say, "Come and do shahadatain before you become a Muslim." It doesn't exist. It never existed in Islam, by the way.
Mm.
And by the way, when I said Islam, I'm not talking about the fake version they are talking from the 7th century. Because Islam didn't start with Prophet Muhammad. It started since the time of all the prophets. Even Noah was a Muslim. According to Quran chapter 42, verse 13 to 14, it was the same religion he gave to Noah, Abraham, Jesus, Moses, and Muhammad himself. So it's not like a new religion, right? So the narrative they are telling people that Islam started in the Arabian Peninsula in the 7th century is a misconception. Because Prophet Muhammad in the Quran was told to follow the creed of Abraham. So if you are told to follow the creed of Abraham, which means the system of belief that Abraham followed, Abraham never bear witness to anything and say, I bear witness that there's God and Muhammad. By the way, the Hadith followers are saying Muhammad was already there before the world was created. They are saying he is the light of God already.
Similar to when the Christians say Jesus was there.
Thank you. So this is where idolization comes in. Because people have been mentally enslaved to think in that way, in that manner, without verifying the claims. They don't verify. No. They will tell you whatever you hear about the prophet, don't question. But how come do they have weak hadith?
Wow. That's the only way you could get weak hadith is that you questioned it. You had to question
it. Thank you. And as a matter of fact, it is their scholars who classify the books as sahih, meaning authentic. It wasn't the prophet who classified those books as authentic. Their scholars did that. So if they never questioned the narrative, how did they end up categorizing them?
Wow, that's a great question. That's a great question.
But the point is, they don't allow you to challenge the status quo.
Yeah.
And this is what correctional officer is giving the people the weapons to liberate themselves from that mental slavery. We have people like Malcolm X, and so on. We have Martin Luther King who have done their own way of things. Correctional officer decided to do it a different way. You understand?
Yes, sir.
I'm calling people to God, and according to God, you don't need to attend a university to establish the truth. The truth has no degree.
It doesn't need any validation. It validates itself.
No, it doesn't. That is what people don't understand. So somebody who might be questioning me right now, if you give people the chance to question me, they might say, okay, what university did you attend to understand Islam? No, Islam doesn't need university.
If they want to ask questions, they can always super chat their questions. That's how we do it on this side. Super chat your questions in the middle of the conversation. I'll get right to them.
Prophet Muhammad, yes, Prophet Muhammad never established any university, as a matter of fact. None of his disciples, none of his companions attended any university to get to any degree from anybody. So why is it now a requirement for somebody else? How? No, please, Sheikh 7. If your mom tells you go to the kitchen and bring me water, do you need a degree to understand what she just said?
No, sir, I don't.
Thank you.
It's that simple, and the truth is very simple. But see, some people in their own delusional and wannabe complex mind need something so far out into outer space, or something so different than the norm.
Can it be verified?
Right.
When they make that claim, or when they say something out of the norm, can that claim be verified?
That's always the question.
If it can be verified, then it's the truth.
Yes, sir.
So that's what the truth is about. Truth is not about what degree do you have, or what is your academic level. No. And this is why when I go to places, I don't speak about my academics and tell you, okay, I went to this college, and no. You have to detach that from the truth, because the so-called scholars have earned all the degrees, but still they are liars.
Absolutely.
So what are we here trying to boast about that? Oh, does he have any degree? I challenge any scholar out there. Let's have a one-on-one dialogue so that I can prove to him that, yes, it's not about you saying you went to Azhar or Mecca. Let's go one-on-one on the Quran. And this is where I'll prove to the world the ignorance of the scholars in some aspects.
Yes, sir.
You see, the truth matters. So Quran chapter 10, verse 82 says, and God will enforce the truth with his words, even if the criminals dislike it. It says, so enforcing the truth is what matters. It is not about, oh, what degree do you have? Degree in lies? Because the institution you went, it was established by a human being, and he has to indoctrinate you with what he wants you to know. Yeah. This is how universities and academical, this is how institutions like that work.
Absolutely.
When somebody tells you he's a student of theology and he studied theology and whatever from the university of this and that, you normally sit down, watch his speech, and if he has to talk and tells you he is presenting the truth, you will see a lot of BS in his claims.
And then also, when you go to schools and universities, that's why they have curriculums.
Yes.
The curriculum is to shape and mold your thinking and to mold your mind to think in a particular direction. That's what
Thank you.
curriculums and all of that is even for.
Exactly. It's
Yes, sir.
indoctrination. And
Yes,
that's why
sir.
they force you to graduate. You have to write according to the way the school wants you to write.
Right. Exactly.
You
Exactly.
understand? So when I was in school, when I was in back in junior high school at that time, they will say that Prophet Muhammad was born in AD 571. And then there's another narrative which says AD 570. And I was like, hello, so which is which? Because a person can only be born in one day.
1 year.
Yes. So which is which? This cannot be the truth.
Right. And that would be that would be very, and I know that should be challenging for anybody, especially if they're, this figure is being presented to them in such magnitude or with such importance. I think knowing, having a concrete, decision or decisive date on his birth would behoove you. You see what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that goes along that people in the intellectual and the scholarly world here always talk about when it comes to the so-called angelicized Jesus. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And the decision of the December 25th birth and so on and so on. However, I want to ask you another thing because here's another other than Shahada. See that right there in our communities, right? That statement right there will end the discussion. You're kafir, you're not a believer. Get on up out of here, etc. So here we got another one. Now I am not going to deprecate prayer or any of the things that are spoken about in this narrative when they give us the 5 pillars of Islam. Now, I'm not saying zakat is not important. I'm not saying prayer is not important. I'm not saying believing in the books and etc is not important. However, let's get to that. Let's go to Salah. Traditionally, everybody's going to say, 5 prayers. 5 prayers a day. You got Fajr, you got Zuhr, you got Maghrib, you got uh, Isha, etc. Right?
Yeah.
So or may I say, does the Quran support 5 prayers a day? Can it be found in the Quran, the Great Koran?
Can you put this on the screen? I shared something. If you can put it on the screen.
Yes, sir. Add to the stage.
Now this is from a website, thegreatkoran.com, right?
Yes.
Now you see this verse I just put is in Quran chapter 98, verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
Quran chapter 98, verse 5. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And God says, and they were not commanded except to worship God, sincerely devoting to him the religion, that is the true religion, right? The Orthodox religion, the true religion.
Mm-hmm.
Establishing the salat and giving the zakat. And that is the valuable religion, or we can say that is the upright religion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, listen to the emphasis God is placing on this verse. He says, they were not commanded except. This is the command of God, but the most important aspect is to sincerely devote the religion to him. And it has to be truthfully, orthodoxly to God. before you think about the salat and the zakat. Because your salat is for God. Remember that. The zakat is also for God. But if I'm not sincerely devoting my faith to God, my salat will be useless and my zakat is useless. Hypothetically, let's say I come to United States as an immigrant, an illegal immigrant, and I don't have a residence permit or something, and I get a job.
Yes.
No matter how much money I save, it can still be confiscated. The reason was, first of all, I'm an illegal immigrant, so I'm not qualified to be a resident in the first place. Secondly, I earn a job, which is illegal again. But if I should enter into the United States as a legal migrant or immigrant, at that time, I'm qualified to earn a job, which is still legal, and I can earn a salary, which is legal. And even if the authorities should come to me, I can declare.
Right.
And show the source of income and show my particulars to show that I'm legally abiding a resident. So when it comes to the aspect of God, when you fail the devotion to God, sincerely devoting the religion itself to God, when you fail that aspect, your salat is useless. It's better you stop it. It's like traveling to a country which requires visa and you don't have a visa, but you want to travel to the country. How does it work? You need to earn the visa, get the passport, get the visa, and get the necessary requirements, and you're good, right? And sometimes, yes, immigration can bounce you off because you fail in one aspect. You might get 9 things checked, but one thing you fail, immigration can bounce you off.
Exactly.
Because it's a requirement God wants from you. So the religion has to, first of all, be devoted to God sincerely. That's why you need submission to God entirely. So these people have made it about Shahada in the first place, just like you asked me. They say you have to say the Shahada. What? Originally, ask the sectarians. Were they not the ones who tell everybody that everybody who is born a Muslim? These same people. This is what they tell people.
Everybody's born a Muslim. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I was already
so if that's the case, what's the point?
That's the point. You get the point. So everything they are teaching people is full of contradiction. Yes.
Wow.
So originally, God wants you to the nature of God that He has, the fitra, meaning originally He has put us on, is to serve one God. That is by nature, by how will I say, by default.
Yes.
Yes. It's just by default. The reason why people end up worshiping other entities aside God is called indoctrination.
Absolutely.
Yes. The moment people start indoctrinating other people, this is when people become diverse and they want to have curiosity in other things. Then somebody will say, hey, guess what? I'm worshiping this iPhone. Can you join me? You get money. Let's go. Then you join. That's it. Yeah, that's it. This is how indoctrination works. Some people cannot be alone. They want to be in a community. They want to be in an association. Sometimes they don't agree with the association, but they don't have a choice because they hate to be alone. So they will join. Even if they know the leader is corrupt or the association is a corrupt organization, they want to join. So the reason why I put the verse is to show you the essence of about the salat before we go to the question you asked. So the salat itself that God is commanded in the Quran has to be dedicated to God, number one, not nobody. But if your devotion to God is kaput, your salat is likewise kaput. So now, the notion of 5 salat, that is not the command from God. If anybody tells you there's 5 salat in the Quran, what about Abraham? Because God asked us to follow the creed of Abraham. This is what God said in Quran chapter 3, verse 95. And it appears on the screen. God says, through the messenger, he's telling us, say, God has told the truth. So follow the creed of Abraham, the Orthodox, for he was not of the polytheists, meaning idolaters. So if we are following the creed of Abraham, you ask the Sunnis and the sectarians again, did Abraham pray 5 times?
I mean, no.
That's the point.
So would it be safe to say that a lot of people have mistaken the form or the ritual or, let's say, the ceremonial portion as the religion?
Exactly.
Okay.
You see, because people don't verify the claims scholars make. The reason why I'm saying this, in this same chapter I just put on the screen, I want to show you something. In this same chapter, that is chapter 3, verse 78. Look what God says concerning how people distort the words of God. God says in this verse, he says, indeed, that is Quran chapter 3, verse 78, right? Indeed, among them is a group who distort the book with their tongues to make you consider it from the book, while it is not from the book. And they say it is from God, while it is not from God. And they say a lie about God while they know. They say a lie about God while they know. Why will they say a lie when they know it's not from the book? Because they will not give you the chance to go and verify from the same book. So what did it normally tell the people? You can't understand this by yourself. This is the team they use. They will tell people you can't understand this book.
And that's the way it's taught here. They'll tell you can't understand the Quran. You can't even understand Islam without the Sunnah or the Sunnah.
Thank you. They put a barrier because they know when you verify, you will see the false claims they make.
Exactly.
You understand? The devil made a promise to God in Quran chapter 7, verse 16 to 18 that I will sit on your straight path. He didn't say I will sit on the side. This is the verse. Let me put it on the screen. This is the promise the devil made. He didn't say I will sit on the side and wait for them. He said I will sit on it. This is the verse. He, the devil, said, because of what you have entrapped me or trapped me, I will sit for them on your straight path.
On the straight path, not the side.
Yes, he will sit on. Not on the side. And look how he will come to us. He will come from then I will come to them from their front and from their behind and from their right and from their left, and you will not find most of them grateful. So are you telling me the devil is also not sitting on the straight path?
Absolutely.
He is there. He is the bouncer.
And that comes from, because a lot of people look at, they're enamored by personality.
Yes.
And what we say, in our faith tradition, we say, they're enamored by the effect and not the cause. By the personality and not the thought or the mentality. Or the character. So because a lot of people hear the fluidness of the Arabiya, they see they got followers, or they see that they know more than they do. They automatically take it on face value, and that's one thing in our community we strive to do, is tell a person show and prove.
Yeah, exactly. That is the point. You see, correctional officer, what I do is I try to enlighten people on how to verify the claims people make. Yes. This is what raises people's credibility. This will make you know if the person knows what he's saying. Okay, let's say right now I tell you, hey, you know what? Angel Gabriel has 7 wings. Let's say I just told you right now he has 7 wings. Do you know the question that you need to ask me to put me in the tightest corner?
Does the Quran verify that?
No, you just first of all, before you start with the Quran, you need to ask me how did I know?
Yeah, because they have to get it from a source, right?
Thank you. Because it's knowledge, it's an information you are giving me. Every information has a source.
Right.
So just ask the person, how do you know? The moment the person starts stammering, so in order to avoid a blame, then he will tell you, Sheikh this said it, Sheikh that said it, Sheikh this or that said it. This is a game they play to avoid being blamed directly. Right? But why is it that when it comes to passing judgment, they are quick to pass judgment by themselves? They will say, this guy doesn't follow Hadith. He's a kafir. According to who? God? Show me. Where did God say that? Are you getting the point?
Yeah, that's what they say.
But when it comes to the matters of they are being questioned to find out their credibility, they avoid that and put it to a dead scholar. Then they will tell you a scholar who is dead because they know you cannot go and question the scholar. So then they will say Imam Maliki said it because they know he's dead and gone. You see, so the moment you ask a person, how do you know? He has to give you the source. Because you are not a superhuman. You are a human being like me. So I need to know the source also. Tell me, my friend, tell me, let me go and check. When the scholar is arrogant, how dare you? He will say, how dare you question me? Do you know the degrees I have? Do you know the institutions I've been? What? It's about the truth. Truth has no degree. So these are the difference in things people don't understand. They think just because somebody has a degree, he has the audacity to lie to you or the authority to lie.
No, sir. No, sir.
That's the point.
No, sir. No,
you see,
yes, sir.
You see, a lot of us don't have degrees and so on, but we can question politicians. Why are we able to question politicians? Because we can see the lies clearly. I don't need to have a degree to see a liar and the truth teller. And the Quran is here to give us nothing but the what? The truth.
The truth, the haq.
Yes. So the truth has no degree. Don't come and tell me, okay, if you say I'm not knowledgeable, that's why Baba Shuaib is out there. Come, let's sit down one-on-one and see.
And I see they don't accept your invitation.
This is what I'm saying, because I will make them famous. This is a vow I made. Yeah, I said I will make them famous, and I promised that. Yes, and I already did a lot of them. No person one-on-one has debated with me to have a career again. I'm serious. All the debates I did, one-on-one, anybody I debate one-on-one, wallahi lazim, he doesn't have a career again. Because what is left to tell the people? Because on that day, I will make sure the person is exposed because he's not speaking the truth. So what else can he say? Because in the debate front, I'll ask questions that the person cannot answer.
In our communities, we're told that the most important thing about our deen is upholding the 5 salats. That means you can almost be, and I'm not saying what I'm saying is true, but this is some of the things that I've heard. I've heard you can be the worst person in your community, but as long as you pray those 5 prayers, you'll make it to Jannah before the most pious person would.
It's a lie.
So I mean, why do they stand on that so heavily?
It's mental slavery, because when you abide by what they say, they can clearly see who they are controlling and who they are not controlling. Do you get my point?
So what's the origin of that?
The origin of that is the devil is in charge of that scheme. He can see his loyal servants. As a matter of fact, let me break down the issue of 5 salat for you. Everything about 5 salat is going against God.
Whoa.
Yeah, everything.
Whoa.
So let's start in the first place. Your salat itself, God says you shouldn't do it silently and you shouldn't be loud. Quran chapter 7.
So that means the silent Zohar prayer, the silent Asr prayer, The silent portion of your Maghrib prayer
is out of coverage. Because the point is, why silent? Because what if the imam is calling on a devil? How do I know? He's standing silently. Why? No, what is the reason? Silently. Why? Because the Hadith told them that, not the Quran. Hadith. If you ask them again, which one is superior? They say the Quran is superior. But if the Quran is superior, Quran says don't be silent and don't be loud. This is the verse. Chapter 17, verse 110. He says, وَلَا تَجْهَرْ بِصَلَاتِكَ وَلَا تُخَافِتْ بِهَا وَابْتَغِي بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ سَبِيلًا. He says, do not be loud with your salat, which is your litany, your salat. Not litany in the sense of Christianity, no. Do not be loud with your salat, nor be silent with it, but seek a way in between. Because so that even if you're praying with the group, they know what you're saying. But now that he says, do not be loud, what do you see the so-called Muslim countries doing with their microphones in the salat?
Even the call to prayer.
Thank you. You're disturbing people's peace. Are you telling me we are in a generation now that if I have an appointment, I don't know the time for the appointment? And nobody needs to have a microphone to call me. I can just go because I know the timing. Then again, the salat itself, they cannot do the salat without Prophet Muhammad. They have to mention him in the salat. It goes against the rule of the Quran. Chapter 72, verse 18. God says, وَأَنَّ الْمَسَاجِدَ لِلَّهِ فَلَا تَدْعُوا مَعَ اللَّهِ أَحَدًا. And that's the mosques, the place of prostration, the place of worship, are for God. So do not invoke anyone with God. You see the command?
Whoa, yes, sir.
Do not invoke anyone along with God. But guess what? The sectarians, when they sit in their salat, before they even start the salat, they have to praise Muhammad. And whilst they are doing the salat, before they end the salat, they do something they call the tayyat and the tashahud. So in the tayyat, which is the greeting, they say at-tayyatu lillahi wa salawatu wa tayyibat assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabiy. So they are saying the salam directly to the Prophet. So they are saying peace be upon you, the Prophet. Please, the salat, who is it for? Is it for God?
It's for
or
Allah.
Is it for the Prophet?
It's for Allah.
Good. That is according to Quran chapter 6, verse 162. It says the salat is for God. So now, if it is for God, and you come in your salat and you are talking to the Prophet directly, you said, Assalamu alayka. Because if I'm talking to you right now, Sheikh Seven, and I said, Assalamu alayka, it means I'm talking to you right now.
Absolutely.
So they came in their salat and they are telling the Prophet, Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi. The question is, was the Prophet doing the same thing?
That's what I asked.
So this is where contradiction comes in. It can never be from God, that thing they are doing. And not only that, they ask you to say salam to the angel on your right and say salam to the angel on your left. No, salat is for God, or is it for the angels?
It's for Allah.
Thank you. So who asked them to say salam here and salam there? That's the Hadith again, not the Quran. So they will say salam to the angels. You ask them, who are you saying? Okay, if you are with the group, who are you saying? They say you are saying to the next person next to them. You. If you are alone, who are you saying? They say to the angels. Where are these coming from? Now, so I'm just showing you from the 5 salat they do, the regulations they break, and it goes against God, right? From beginning to end. Now, the notion of 5 salat itself is not in the Quran. What they do is they interpolate verses and put it there. And this is why I need them one-on-one. Let's go head to head and see if it is there. It's not there. When Quran talks about tasbih, glorification, is not the same as salat. God is precise with his words. And as a matter of fact, it is God who established the truth, nobody else. Not even the Prophet who established the truth, but God.
How can they say tasbih and salat would be the same thing when they have tasbih beads?
Exactly. Tasbih is different. It's not the same. But when it comes to, when you tell them there's no 5 salat, they start to go and take verses which is talking about tasbih to align it with salat, which is a contradiction. It's not the same. Even birds, common birds, know the difference between salat and tasbih.
Whoa, that's amazing.
Yes, I can give you the verse. Let me give you the verse. Chapter 24, verse 41. This is what God says. He says, do you not see that God is the one to whom those in the heavens and the earth glorify, as well as the birds in rows? Each already knows its salats and its tasbih. You see it?
Whoa.
Each of them already knows its salats, which is different, and the tasbih. Because if when I want to do a tasbih, I don't need to do any ablution. I can do tasbih sitting down, glorifying God, sitting down, remembering God, lying down, remembering God, glorifying Him. That is tasbih. That is why throughout the ancient time, the concept of having a rosaries came.
Yes.
You can concentrate and be doing the tasbih, glorification of God.
Mm-hmm.
But salat is something you need to establish. You need to go and do ablution, stand and establish it. Yes. So if God is talking, God is precise with His words. And that's why I was quoting chapter 10, verse 82. So let me give you the verse again. Chapter 10, verse 82. This is what God says concerning the truth. He said, and God will enforce the truth with His words, even if the criminals dislike it. Because some people will eventually hate the truth, whether you like it or not. And God said it. He says majority of the people hate the truth.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to the notion of 5 salats, the salats Quran mentioned is 3. It mentions Salat al-Fajr, Salat al-Isha, and Salat al-Wusta. 3 salats only by name. That's it. No other salat mentioned.
No other salat.
No.
None. Because I don't see. But
And by the way, before you ask me extra question, let me just say one thing before you ask me. Don't forget the question you're about to ask me. I want to just say something. Then you come back to that. They said the Prophet went to the heavens. According to Sahih al-Bukhari, 349, he went to the heavens to bring 5 salats. If he has to go to the heavens to bring 5 salats, how come they have extra added salats which are not part of the 5 salat he went to bring? Like Salat al-Jum'ah is not part of the 5 he went to bring. Salat al-Eid is not part of the 5 he went to bring. Salat al-Janaza, the funeral prayer, is not part of the 5 he went to bring. The salat of the eclipse and so on, all these salats, where are they from?
Good question.
But people don't allow people to ask these questions. And that's why correctional officer is trying to enlighten the people to wake up from this slumber.
That's why I just had to get you on the platform so you could ask those questions to people who would listen.
Exactly. So you bring out the question you were about to ask me, if you didn't forget.
Oh no, I was just getting ready to say it's just because at one point, if I'm not, because I'm not as sharp on Hadeeth as you are. You know, I've read a lot of them, so I paraphrase a lot of them because I haven't memorized them as you have. However, isn't there one Hadith that states that about, especially when it comes to Raka, it was only supposed to be 2 Raka per prayer?
Yes, that is Sahih al-Bukhari 350.
So
according to Nana Aisha, according to the narration, Nana Aisha said when the Prophet went to bring the 5 salat, it was only 2 raka'at God ordained. So that is 10 rakats in a day, right? So how did he change from 2 to 17? How? From 10 to 17. Who changed it?
Great question.
Because if they say the words of God that do not change,
and we know that the word of God is the truth, and truth cannot.
Thank you.
It cannot change.
Thank you. But people don't question that because people already, scholars again told the people you can't understand the Hadith book. Again, listen carefully. The same scholars tell you can't understand the Quran by yourself. The same scholars again tell you can't understand the Hadith books by yourself. So what do you think is going on, Sheikh Said?
Somebody lying.
Somebody's lying. Somebody wants to be in control.
Yeah. I mean, they want to be in control in the complete narrative.
Thank you. That is why when you're dealing with the so-called scholars who have gone to the Arab world, they want to act like they are just the Arabic, supremacy. Like, hey, which university have you been? Hey, I've studied. No. You face the correctional officer, you are going to be humbled. I'm serious.
So when it comes to prayer, right?
Yeah.
So rakat. So the whole thought, I mean, from your perspective, from your whole thought, that even the concept of rakat even
in the Quran, raka'ah. When we say raka'ah, it means to genuflect, to bow down.
To bow down.
So when they say raka'at, they are talking about the genuflections you are going to do in the salats. So that is a posture that you are going to do. How many times? But God never gave a fixed number to the postures you have to do in the salat. He never gave a fixed number. There's a reason why God didn't give a fixed number. You might choose to, because if you're praying to God, you might choose to do your prayer in a long time where you can do a lot of rakats. That's up to you. That's the point. So as a matter of fact, when you read the Quran chapter 4, verse 102, the Prophet led the salat. I can show you an example. Quran chapter 4, verse 102. This is the time they feared that the disbelievers might attack them, right? So during the salat, God told him, he says, and when you are among them, then establish the salat for them, and let a faction of them stand with you, and let them take their weapons, and when they have prostrated, then let them be behind you, and let the other faction who have not prayed come and let them pray with you. So you see that prostration the first group did with him, that is considered as raka'ah, one raka'ah. So it's done. But they used that one raka'ah to finish the prayer. The second group also came, they will do the same thing, and that is considered by the sectarians as raka'ah. But when we say raka'at, as a rule, to say 17 raka'at, you have to do 2 today, in the morning, you do 3 or 4 in the afternoon. No, not from God. So the reason why I'm saying this is when you read Quran chapter 42, verse 21, the reason why when you abide by what they are telling you, you are a mushrik. You become a shirk. You are doing shirk. God says in Quran chapter 42, verse 21. Yes. Quran chapter 42, verse 21. He says, Am lahum shuraka usharahu lahu min ad-din ma lam ya'zanu bi Allah. He says, or do they have associates? That is idols. When we say shuraka, right? Literally, it means a partner, to partner with someone or associate. But in a non-literal perspective, it means idols, somebody you idolize. Right?
Okay.
So, Am lahum shuraka usharahu lahu min ad-din ma lam ya'zanu bi Allah. Who have legislated. The word shara'a comes from the word sharia. That is shara'a, to legislate.
Yeah.
So God is saying, exactly, to enact. So God is saying, who have legislated for them, then he says, of a religion to which God has not authorized. Do they have that idols? And if no, then why don't you stick to the religion of God and let God be the one giving you the rules and regulations? So how come we don't find it in the book of God? Those rak'ats they are saying. If you tell them, is the Quran complete? They say yes, but. What is but?
That's already that but is going to contradict the thing you said before it.
That's it. You see, the moment somebody is saying but, there's a problem.
Yeah.
You ask somebody, are you married? He says yes, but what? You see. Because it's either you are single or married. So if you say yes, but what is the explanation there? You see, you can say yes, I'm married, then you say let me explain. That is enough.
That's a better way to say it.
Thank you. That's a better way to say it. You
Yes, sir.
answer the question first, then you say, let me explain. But don't
Yes,
say
sir.
but. But becomes a contrary
Yeah.
towards what is being said in the first place.
Yes.
And this is how sectarianism have been programmed by their audience to, to answer questions which they are contradicting themselves, but they don't realize. And that's why the Hadith is full of contradictions. Yes.
Because see, the reason why I wanted to address prayer, because I know people who miss a prayer and they're gonna call you the biggest kafir. They, I know some people that'll lose their entire mind, like the world is about to end. And I understand, establishing Salah. I understand, abiding by the commandments of Almighty God. I understand that. However, as human beings, I think it's kind of in understanding the nature of being a human being. I think it would be healthy for you to understand that you may not be 100% flawless in your attempts. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
but this is the type of mindset and psychology that these sectarians do give the people, to the point where it makes them psychotic, it makes them mad, makes them lose their whole mind. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Now, you see, indoctrination is a big disease.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you have been indoctrinated at a tender age. Because the reason why cognitive dissonance sets in is that you can't stand the point that somebody is challenging a view you have held since you were a toddler, I would say. You understand? Because the people involved that you knew of, your parents, your siblings, and so on, the respect you have for them, and all of a sudden somebody out there you consider a nobody is telling you and showing you proofs that this was a lie. Many a times people cannot fathom that. Like it's too much to bear in the head.
Right.
So the idea is, according to God, let me show you two verses that will strike you right now.
Yes, sir.
Quran chapter 16, verse 78. See what God says. He says, and God brought you out of the bellies of your mothers, knowing nothing. He brought you out of the bellies of your mothers, knowing nothing.
Knowing nothing.
Yes. Knowing nothing. Absolutely nothing. So now, you knowing nothing, and then God says he made for you hearing. You need to hear something. He gave you eyesight. You need to see something. He gave you the minds. You need to process this faculty. You see?
Yes.
Then he says, so that you may be thankful or grateful. Now, how do I become grateful? I'm grateful when you give me a gift and I'm using it. That alone is gratefulness.
Right.
I'm serious. Look, for people who have been in a relationship or you're married.
Yeah.
Let's say your spouse, you did something to your spouse and the spouse is offended.
Right.
And then you bought a gift without a spouse even saying thank you verbally, without saying thank you. Right. But guess what? 2 days later, you see the spouse wearing the gift or using the gift you bought. There is some tranquility that comes into your bosom when you see that.
Yeah.
Because then even though the person didn't say it verbally, but they do appreciate what you brought.
Because they're using it. Right.
Yes.
Right.
So God gave us these faculties in order to use it. You can't be a worker in a company, you are given tools by the boss and you don't use them.
Right.
Then how are you going to yield results?
Right.
So now,
they're not going to yield results.
Yes. So now, since we don't know anything and God gave us the hearing, the eyesight, and the minds so that we may be grateful, this is the way you become grateful. And God is going to show us how to become grateful. So then We go to Quran chapter 17, verse 36. Now, this is how to become grateful. Now, God says, and do not pursue, meaning to follow something, in order to pursue something, what you have no knowledge about. Do not pursue that. Then he says, indeed, the hearing, the eyesight, and the mind, all those will be accountable thereof.
I need this.
You can mark it somewhere on your computer if you have a notepad, maybe, so that you remember.
Yeah.
It's chapter 17, verse 36.
Chapter 7.
And I know this video will have even a playback. So yes, the verse is there. You see?
Yes.
So now, since he brought us to the world knowing nothing, he is the right entity to teach us something else also again. So now, by abiding by his command, he says, do not pursue what you don't have knowledge about. And that knowledge has to come from God. But he wants you to verify things. That's why he says you'll be held accountable from the way you use the tools. Just as a boss employing you and giving you tools, when you don't yield the results, the boss is going to summon you to the office.
Exactly.
Yes. And he's going to ask you, Baba Shuaib, I employed you, I gave you the tools. Where's the results?
Right.
I need to be accountable for it.
Yes, sir.
So this is a wisdom, and this is classified as wisdom. This verse I'm reading is found in the wisdom God has given us. Chapter 17, you start reading from 22 up to 39. This is what we call hikmah. But the sectarians will tell you there's no hikmah in the Quran. So according to them, Quran doesn't have any wisdom. It is the Hadith books which has wisdom. Yeah. If you tell them wisdom is in the Quran, they say, no, akhi, no, wisdom is in the Hadith of the Prophet.
I mean, that has to be the case when you tell me I can't know anything about Islam reading the Quran and I have to get it out of a Hadith.
Thank you. That is the devil's scheme.
Yeah,
you understand?
So I got another question.
Yeah.
What is the concept of the Qibla? Because see, here amongst in our communities, when we hear the word Qibla, that means turn your face toward the great mosque in Mecca. Hey, listen here, Baba. Listen here, correctional officer. I'm just telling you, brother, what's being taught. I mean, and brother, and it's not. I mean, it tickles, but it's not funny. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But these concepts, brothers, like I know I have a brother who's watching me that I love much. Probably don't even know which one of them it is. But just me having this dialogue rubs them the wrong way. And I know it does. But sometimes, agitation is the best thing. It yields the best results. So talk to me about the concept of Qibla.
Thank you. You see, every word you take, every word has a literal side and a non-literal side.
Absolutely.
Every word. And one of the things that actually entertains me the most is these two American words. The word F-U-C-K, and then the word S-H-I-T.
Yes.
You see these words informally are being used in a lot of contexts.
Right.
Different contexts, and it still makes sense.
Absolutely.
But it's just one word.
Just one word.
So, me being somebody who has been gifted with speaking a lot of languages, right? I speak about 9 languages, 9 languages, but I know about up to 11 languages, right? But above average, I can speak about 9 languages, above average, right? And apart from that, out of the languages that I speak, I can write about 6 of them. I can write it. So this is a gift God has given me. So when it comes to language. It is something I have much interest in, understanding how words are used in a language, right? So now let's go to the concept of Qibla. You see, when you mention Qibla, the first literal understanding which comes to the people's senses is direction.
Absolutely.
The reason is, when you take the word being used here in Quran chapter 2, verse 177, this is what God says. God says, لَيْسَ الْبِرَّ أَن تُوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ قِبْلَ الْمَشْرِقِ وَالْمَغْرِبِ. So God is saying in this verse, he says, righteousness is not to turn your faces towards the east and the west. But he used the word Qibla. This is the word. Let me highlight it for you. This word.
Yeah, I see it. I see it right here.
You see it? Okay. Good. So this Qibla here is a direction. You see, he says towards.
Qibla.
Yes, it gives you the direction of something, right? But that is the literal sense. But the moment you are given a direction, you are going to a location.
Absolutely.
That's why there's a direction. So in other sense, that same word is a location. But when it's used as a noun, it becomes a location. So if it's a location, according to God in the Quran, it's a location where you establish prayer. So if I take you to Quran chapter 10, verse 87, concerning Moses and his brother and his people, this is what God says. And we inspire to Moses and his brother that accommodate your people in the houses of Egypt and render your houses Qiblatan. You render your houses to become what? Qibla. And establish the salat. So if you make your houses a Qibla, which is a location, place of worship, then you establish the salat there. Because it's a location designated where people will come there. Your people will come there and establish the salat and pray. See the point?
Yeah, I see your point.
But when people go outside the Quran, what people fail to understand is, you see, let's take the example of the book William Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet. This book was written in English language, but not in the modern version of English language, not in the modern standard. In the version based on the timeline it was written, anybody who reads it makes sense perfectly. If somebody from this age reads the book without actually understanding that version of English, it is nonsensical.
Nonsensical.
Yes, it will not make sense. So in other words, you have to understand the context in which the book itself, the theme of the book, in which it's written. That is what will make you understand the English being used there.
Right.
Same goes with the Quran. I'm using the example so that people will understand this. You see, outside the context of the Quran, people think just because Arabs use a word and they let it mean something, automatically that is what it means in the Quran. That's not the case.
You have to place things in context.
Thank you. Context. That's why I started with the example of the word sheet and then that word F-U-C-K.
Yeah.
So that people will get what I mean, because of course, American and talking to Americans, so they have to understand where I'm heading at.
Yeah.
So here, in the context of the Quran, there are words being used, regardless of how Arabs know the word or are using it today. It doesn't fit in the context of the Quran. This is why the etymology of a word is very, very important. So that you know with time how it was used and how it was slightly changed, and people will start playing with the word. So the Qibla God is talking about, yes?
Because I know the narrative that they use is that it's one time the Qibla or the direction of worship was towards Jerusalem. Then the next time it was switched and it went towards Mecca.
It was a lie. The word Jerusalem doesn't even appear in the Quran. So where did they get that from? Remember, before I came to these verses, I told you God said he brought you to the world knowing nothing. And then now he says, do not pursue what you have no knowledge. And guess what? Sheikh 7, the narrative you be telling me now, you said they said.
Yeah, they said.
They said. This is how they indoctrinate us. If you ask them physically, if you are talking to a scholar, he will also say the Sheikh, the ulama said.
Yes.
This is the narrative. Because this is what
they say. This is what they write in their so-called history.
Thank you. So now, when we say Qibla in the context of the Quran, it doesn't necessitate you have to face a place to pray. God never said it anyway.
Actually, what God said, anyway, you turn your face, there's the face of Allah.
Okay, so let's check the verse. I'll take you to the verse. The verse is highlighted in the footnote, if you can see it.
Yeah.
But I'm building a case before we get there.
Yes, sir.
So the Qibla mentioned in Quran chapter 2, verse 144 is talking about a location, not about a prayer. Just as the Qibla mentioned to Moses in chapter 10, verse 87, is telling him a location. They should render their houses as a location, meaning a place of worship, or the place they can establish their prayer from. That is what Qibla is about in the context of the Quran. So now, I take you to Quran chapter 2, verse 144. Now, in order to understand 144, I start from 142. Now, guess how God is going to elaborate this matter for us. God started by saying, the foolish among the people will say, what has turned them away from their place of worship, which is the Qibla? What has turned them away? It's a location. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
It's a location. They are at a location. So they have to move from the location. Just like the Prophet was in Mecca, he moved to Medina. It's a location. It's not like you're facing the place to pray. So now, the foolish now are asking, what has turned them away from their place of worship at which they were, or upon which they were? Because if you are at a location, you are at the location. If I take a Google map, I can see where you are on the location. Then if I'm going to paraphrase by saying that, okay, I can see him on the location, and I can again say I can see him at the location. If I say on the location, is still correct, grammatically correct. He is on the location. You see? So God used the word alayha. It's not like they are facing a place. He said, what the verse says, what has turned them away from their place of worship, their Qibla, upon which, or we can say at which they were. So they were at the place. It's not like they were facing the place. Is it? Can you resonate with what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So now then God says, say, to God belongs the east and the west. Because it's about a location they are. It's not about the location they are facing for something. But I'll come to the issue of facing, so people will understand the context, that when you look at things literally every time, this is where you'll be bamboozled. So he says, to God belongs the east and the west. He guides whomever he wills to a straight path. Now, in order to move to the next verse, before we go to 144, I want you to make sense out of this before we go to the 144. So check what I'm going to do here. Here, Quran chapter 14, verse 1. Sheikh 7. This is what God says. He says, Alif Lam Ra, a book which we have revealed to you in order to bring the people out of the darknesses into the light, by the permission of their Lord, to the path of the Almighty, the praiseworthy. Tell me if this is literal or non-literal.
It's it's non-literal
Thank
because
you.
it would be called what would be called like here in America, it would be called allegorical.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is
Because the
this
book can't
context.
actually give your eyeballs sight, but it can enlighten your mind, and so you can see clearly.
Thank you. It brings you light, takes you
Mm-hmm.
out of ignorance. It
Mm-hmm.
brings you enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
So here, the book is supposed to be used to bring people out of ignorance
Mm-hmm.
into the light, meaning enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
And by the permission of who? God. So which means God is the one teaching, going to enlighten us.
Right.
But somebody has to be the light bearer.
Absolutely.
You see? So,
Yeah.
but you can see, if we have to take it literally, then it is nonsensical. Because the reason why is literally, it will be nonsensical, because I cannot be in the darkness right now. If I switch off the light and I hold a book, tell me which light comes out of the book to give me clear light in the darkness. You getting my point?
Yeah, I follow you. I follow you. Yes, sir.
So the Quran has instances where verses are not looked at the way you looked at it, literally. So now let's go back to the verse of the Qibla. I read chapter 2, verse 142 earlier on. Now I'm going to move, in order to build the context, I'm moving to 143 downwards to give you the context. Then God says, and thus have we made you, he's talking to the believers at the time of Muhammad, peace be upon him, right? Thus have we made you a central nation so that you may be witnesses over the people, because they need a location in order to be witnesses over the people. So that's why God made them a central ummah, nation there. Will be a witness, then he says, and the messenger will be a witness over you, meaning you, the believers. Then he says, and we did not assign the place of worship, which is the Qibla, upon which or at which you are. Except. So God did that for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
What the sectarians do with these verses, they will put the word kunta in the past tense, just to agree with the foolish people in the verse 142. Remember, 142 is still saying foolish people. Now, the moment somebody is termed as foolish, can that person make a right judgment?
No.
No. That's why it's termed as foolish. So the foolish people in 142 were already making a wrong judgment because they don't understand. So now you find people telling you, oh, the Qibla used to be in Jerusalem, people face. Where did God say that? Where? In which verse? Jerusalem where? Okay, let's finish the verse. Then God says that we did not assign the Qibla upon which or at which you are, except that we may find out who will follow the messenger. Then he says, from one who will turn back on his heels. Then God says, it is not important except for those whom God has guided. And God is not to waste your faith. Indeed, God is to the people kind and merciful. Now, you can clearly see the context coming down. It's still not about facing a location. For prayer, do you see anything about prayer there?
No.
God only talking about he did that so that he can see who will follow the messenger and those who will not follow him. Still, no, nothing about prayer, right? Okay, let's go. 144. Then God now told the prophets, we have seen you turning, we have seen your face turning around towards the sky. Now, what the sectarians will tell you they will tell you is, they will say at this time the prophet want to pray, he doesn't know where to face. Excuse me.
see, it's this, like, when you look at it in the way that you're looking at it from like a commonsensical place, like like, you know, without all the additives and preservatives. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Carry on though, bro. Carry on.
Exactly. So now, this context is not about prayer. He wasn't praying. Look, the prophet will not do anything that God never enlightened him aforehand. So God will already tell him what to do. It's not now that he'll be praying and he doesn't know where to face. He'll be assuming that now God will say, okay, I see you struggling, so now I want to give you a place to face. What? Quran chapter 57 verse 4, God says he is with you wherever you are. Wherever. So you think he was looking at the sky looking for God? Does the verse say that? He wasn't looking for God, as if God is lost. So, so then, since God has given us the hearing, the eyesight, and the mind, remember, you'll be held accountable for it. So it depends how you use the tools God has given you. So the tools is how we are using it now. So toward the sky, then God says, so we have turned you to a location or entrusted to you a location. Because if I have a location to go, have you ever seen somebody stranded on the way, standing somewhere, and they are looking around? You can notice that this person doesn't know where he's going.
Right.
I'm serious.
Right.
He'll be looking left, right, up. You'll be like, excuse me, can I help you? It's like, oh, I was looking for someone or some place. So God now saw the prophet doing the same. He has now assigned a location to him. And a location that you have is wherever you are. That is where you tend to. Because it's your location, your place that you stay. So wherever you are, Sheikh 7, you know your location where you have to go, your home. You know where to go, right?
Right.
But now God is going to give him a location of establishing prayer and a place of worship.
Like
God is going,
like my room.
Thank you. So God is going to assign to him. Guess what? After he assigned, God wants to see who will follow the messenger in that location. Remember, 143, the verse above gave you that clue. Because God wants to see who will follow him to that location. So now God says, which we have entrusted to you a place of worship, which is the Qibla, with which you will be pleased. So turn your face. Now, this is where people are taking it literally. When he says turn your face towards the Masjid al-Haram, then people will put prayer there. It doesn't talk about prayer. And masjid is supposed to be used for worship. So if masjid is supposed to be used for worship, are you telling me the prophet will now be turning his face to face the masjid whilst he's outside? Aren't the people supposed to be in the masjid instead to pray? Seriously. So now they will tell you that when you are going to pray, face the masjid. Then who will be in the masjid to face where? And you ask them, Sheikh 7, the simplest question you should ask them is, what am I facing that building for? Is it God I'm looking for? If they say yes, tell them, is God not with me? They will say yes. If it's with me, why am I facing that location? For what?
Absolutely. That's a great question.
The notion of salat is not found in the verses from 142 up to 150. God never mentions salat there. So who puts the word salat there? Prayer there. Do you see how people play with our heads?
Bruh.
So let me show you the non-literal aspect of when God says turn your face. It's a location which has been assigned to the prophet as well as the believers. So it's a base for them now. So wherever they are, that is their location. So they will turn and come there. That is a base for them. And that is why when you read chapter 9, that is when God assigned it to the believers so that they can drive the mushriks away from that location. So he has entrusted that to them, because when you read Quran chapter 8 verse 35, when the mushriks were in charge of the place, they were doing idol worship. The salat they were doing was even out of coverage area. So now God now assigned it to the rightful owners, which are the believers, so that they can take care of that location. So the sacred mosque. Then God says, wherever you may be, thus turn your face towards it. Doesn't mean literally. If let's take it literally right now. God says, wherever I may be, I should turn my face. Does that mean right now I'm talking to you, Sheikh 7? I should be turning my face and facing that location?
No, sir.
You get the point?
Yes, sir.
So when people take such thing literally, that is how they have fooling themselves. Because it's about a location, and that's why God keep using the word alayha, at which or upon which, to show you that it's a location that people have to be upon. It's not about turning your face to face a place to pray. That is why they became idol worshippers. They worship the stone, for God's sake.
Pardon me. Yes, sir.
The house over there, people are worshiping it. What is the difference between somebody going to Jerusalem and also worshiping the wall? What is the difference between somebody in Africa also taking a stone and worship the stone? But then they will come back with the explanation. They say, Akhi, we are not worshiping the stone. Then what are you doing to the stone?
Peace to creator of the boundless universe for the $2 super chat. His he has a statement, and I like you to see your see if you agree with his perspective. He says the Qibla is within.
This is an opinion because there's no fact with what he's saying. He doesn't present any fact surrounding what he just said. He just made a statement.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Because we also
let me give a further explanation of that. Because the verse we are reading, we can clearly see that God says we are entrusted a Qibla to you, which you be pleased. Then he says, turn your face towards the Masjid al-Haram. So it's a location he's given. So if you say it is within, then God will have told the prophet, turn within yourself. Like I told you earlier on, when people make claims or say things, it's about verifying their claims. So if they can back it up with a proof, that is when you bring it, then we check where it says what you are saying.
Go ahead, brother. That was just a question.
That was just a
statement. Keep going.
Yes. Here the verse goes ahead and says, and wherever you may be, thus turn your faces towards it, so that those who were given the book will know that it is the truth from their Lord. And God is not heedless of what they do. So when people take this verse literally, that is where the problem comes. You see, so here, God made a statement in 145 that I want people to see this verse. God says, and whether you bring every sign to those who were given the book, they will not follow your Qibla. Neither shall you be a follower of their Qibla. So you can see this Qibla is a concept of something I need to follow. Then it goes, nor will they be followers of each other's Qibla. And if you follow their inclinations after what has come to you of the knowledge, indeed, you in that case will be among the transgressors. If you remember clearly in Quran chapter 2, verse 143, God said he assigned the Qibla so that he can see who will follow the messenger from who will not follow the messenger. So that is why he entrusted that base to the prophet, to the messenger, in order to see who agree with the messenger and follow. It has nothing to do with prayer. The concept of Qibla in the Quran, God never said pray facing the Kaaba. As a matter of fact, the verses I just read, did you see the word Kaaba there?
Not at all.
But okay, how did people start facing Kaaba now? Where did Kaaba come into this picture again?
I don't. I mean, it's not in the Quran. It's just what they say. It's what the scholars say.
The word Kaaba itself is in the Quran, right? But nowhere
But
does God say we
it's
should
not
face.
there.
Exactly, it's not in these verses, no. So the scholars are making people worship Kaaba. Well, God never even mentioned Kaaba in this context.
Mm.
So there's a problem.
So even wow. So that even makes, which I was going to get to, Hajj a problem. Wow. But see, this is what I'm saying. Like the way you present this for a person without with the I would say with not that's not mentally capable of taking your perspective, it would dismantle them and break them down psychologically and emotionally. That's why they can't have conversations.
Thank you.
You know,
That's the point.
that's it.
That's why they can't confront somebody like me directly. So what they do is they start to do character assassination.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with having different perspectives. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing wrong with this. This is what when you get when you want a salad, you don't just eat lettuce. You got tomatoes, you got bell peppers, you got whatever you putting in there, plus the dressing.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, we should appreciate different perspectives. Is what I'm saying. It actually should challenge you intellectually. It should spark
Yes.
you intellectually. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
Exactly.
yes, sir.
Exactly. Because
Yes.
God says in the Quran, chapter 17, verse 36, when I gave you the verse, He says, do not pursue that of which you have no knowledge. So in Islam, finding knowledge is binding on us.
Mm-hmm.
So we shouldn't be talking with ignorance just for pleasure and say, my scholar said this. Your scholar said it. Can he prove it? That's the point. Look, I have a Hadith reference I can quote to you right now. He says black people are going to hell.
Quote it for us. Let us get it, brother.
Yes. I'll put it on the screen for you. Let me put it on the screen here.
Oh man.
Then you see it for yourself. Then you know that this is not a joke. That these people,
Yeah, I
they have
wasn't.
an agenda. So I'm going to share it on the screen for you to see.
Yes, sir. Wow.
Here.
Created a boundless universe, honors and gratitude for those super chats. I apologize for missing those.
Yeah, 119 is Mishkat al-Misbah. So that I show people how they can search it for themselves on the website and see it clearly. So when they go to sunnah.com, yeah, here, 119. So I share the tab. Can you see it on the screen?
Yep.
Okay. So this is sunnah.com, and the reference is this. It's Mishkat al-Masabi. So people can write it down, this, if they can see it clearly. Whoever is watching right now, please write it down. It's Mishkat al-Masabi. And this is 100, the reference is 119. And the isnad, the chain of narration is good, meaning Hassan by the scholars, right? And if you read in Arabic here, it is Sahih here. You see on my right hand, I just, yeah. The word Sahih means authentic. And do you know who made it authentic? Imam Albani from Albania. Yes, Imam Albani. He classified this as Sahih, but the Isnad Zubair Ali Zai classified it, the Isnad, as Hassan. So this is not a weak hadith. This is Sahih, and this is Hassan, meaning it's a strong hadith. Now, this is the book looking down on black people. That is why in the hadith, everything black is bad. The only thing black which is good is the black stone by the devil that they are kissing. Oh, I'm serious. Sheikh Seven. I'm serious. They say black dogs are evil. Anything black, they say the devil is black themselves, according to them. I have all these references I can give you. So now I'm going to read the hadith to see why they say black people are going to hell. So I go up here. It says Abu Darda reported God's messenger as saying, God created Adam when he created him and struck his right shoulder and brought forth his offspring, white like small ants, right? And he struck his left shoulder and brought forth his offspring, black as though they were charcoal. Then he said to the party on his right side, to paradise. So remember, the right side are white.
Like white head.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then he says, the ones on the left, listen to what he said. And he said to the party in his left shoulder, to hell, I do not care. And this is not a joke. It's real. It's in their Hadith books. And it's Sahih. But black people don't see all this. They will tag me, correctional officer, as the enemy. Because of indoctrination. When you check here, the Arabic word they call, you ask any Arab, how do you call black people? This Sauda, the word Sauda I just highlighted, is black.
Sauda. Yep.
This Sauda is black. It means the Zuriya, the descendant of Adam. Are we not the descendants of Adam?
Yeah.
Tell me, who among the descendants of Adam, apart from us, is classified as black people or black?
None.
Yeah, and you see our brothers actively going to and become servants of this, people who have this ideology from Hadith books. I'm not saying all Arabs or something are bad. No, we have Arabs who are actually supporting the Quran alone ideology. But majority of them, they don't. That's why they don't regard black people at all. Yes. And these are things.
And basically, what they're saying is,
they're
basically trying to say you are not even a human.
Thank you. That's the point. And that's why they mock us by saying Bilal was a slave of the Prophet and the Prophet made him call the Salat. It's all an insult. But people think it's something good. Oh, Bilal was a slave and he went to call. No, if it was something good, why didn't one of the Arabs went up there to call the Salat themselves?
And I mean, logically, why would they allow a slave to do it?
Thank you. Say that again.
Because I mean, even according to in their communities, the one who calls the prayer, that's a prestige position.
Thank you.
Why would you give it to one who
exactly? Why give it to a slave?
But see, no, even in our communities, ones are waking up to those particular. You got a lot of us who are waking up.
Of course,
those who are waking up. You know what I mean? So.
No, of course, it's a gradual process. I know cognitive dissonance, how it works. I've dealt with a lot of people. Look, I've been online for the past 8 years doing what I do for the past 8 years. So I know how people's emotions can be touched. Correctional officer, one of my taglines is, if you are emotional, don't watch me. Yeah, this is how one of the disclaimer I put. I normally tell people, if you are emotional, don't watch me, because I will trigger the cognitive dissonance there.
Hey man, I mean, just having the dialogues you having, brother, man, it's most definitely gonna trigger. But hey man, like I said, agitation and triggering, you know what I'm saying, it brings about change. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
and that's the only way that you're gonna change people's perspective or even get them to look in a different direction. You gotta agitate, you gotta stir things up. So, yes, sir.
Yes.
Wow.
So yeah, let's go ahead. I got like 15 minutes more. We can go ahead. If you have anything to present, you want to let people join, fine. I can spare some time extra for you. Yeah.
Okay. We got 15 minutes. Matter of fact, what I'll do,
Now I can spend more time on that, maybe 15:30. Yes.
Okay. 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 Anybody? Let me put the link in the chat, and I'll do it that way. Somebody can come up and ask questions.
Sure.
Pardon me, just a second. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right. I did give you the chat. I get it to you. Copy link. All right. I'm putting it in the chat right now. Link in the chat. So the link is in the chat. If you would like to hit the link and come up and ask Brother Baba Shuaib a question. Only thing on what I will say is keep your dialogue respectful. You know, disrespectful dialogue will not be tolerated. I will get rid of you. All right, let me see what we got going on here. Peace.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. How you doing?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi.
Yeah, I was just paying attention to some of what the brother was demonstrating about. I agree with a lot of it, but I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum, I'd say, because I grew up in Chicago. I grew up in the Moorish Science Temple, and eventually, at age 18, I made the transition to what they call so-called Orthodox Islam. But like I said, I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum because I'm a Shia. So my thought process, especially when it goes to a lot of these hadiths, is a lot different. Because basically, after the Prophet's demise, everyone that the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, everyone that he fought against in his early prophetic years, after his passing, all of those same people out of Bani Umayyah came to power and ruled Islam, which also resulted in the killing of a lot of his family. I started to notice those like racial tendencies in hadiths when I was studying, Sunni Islam, and that's kind of what put me off of it. But then, once I found out that particularly the 12 Imams, most of them had African parentage and they were all oppressed. So a lot of the things the brother discussed, I agree with, and most of the hadith corpus that makes up Ahl Sunnah, like Bukhari, Muslim, Ibn Nasai, the Musnad Ibn Akmal, most of those I don't even take from because they were really made by people who supported the overthrowing of his family.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. So, so you didn't have a question? Oh, you just wanted to build. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I just wanted to build a little bit, man, and I seen the brother, the brother on here demonstrating of how they turn these Quranic verses around, basically the same way that they did the Bible. When the Schofield Bible came into existence, and they had all of this commentary, but kind of infused the commentary to make the commentary look like it was actually a part of the verse when it's not.
Absolutely.
They did that. Yeah, they did that a lot, and they did that with the Quran too. And this is.
They insert Muhammad's name into the Quran. You see that all throughout certain translations. They'll put his name in parentheses. But a lot of the times we know when a certain thing is in parentheses, it's not actually part of the text anyway.
Exactly.
So but a lot of people don't know that though. So you can fool the world with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then when I was studying, I'm like, because I was going towards Sunni Islam once I came up out of the Moorish Science Temple. But when I was studying, I'm like, okay, there's a hadith here that says, after me, I will be succeeded by 12 members, all from my family, all from the tribe of Quraysh. So I'm like, okay, who are these 12 members? You know what I'm saying? So I'm going down the line of different calibers, and I'm like, okay, it couldn't be this dude because he was a drunkard and a killer. Couldn't be this dude because he killed the prophet's grandson. So I'm like, okay, something is not right. And then what really got me was the outright lie of when they say, you know, the prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, his last sermon was at Hajj, which is a complete lie. His last sermon was at a place called Gadir Kum. And when he was on his way back from the pilgrimage, and this is in Sunni Hadith books too, but when he was on his way back from the pilgrimage, he stopped at a watering place called Kum, and he told the Muslims that was in front to come back, and those that was in back to come forward. And this is all in the hot Arabia heat. He built a minbar made of saddles, and he stood up on top of it. And this is where the disagreement come in. He told the Muslims, whoever I am master, this Ali is also master. The word master, which is used as Mawla. Now, Mawla can also mean friend. So just like any language, when we look at what the word is and it has multiple meanings, we look at the context of the word to figure out what was going on and what was everybody talking about. Just like if I say, hey, man, the brother on Let's Think podcast, he the lion of this Morris science stuff. Do I mean that you a literal African cat dressed in Morris science garb? No, it means that you're the champion. You are the most knowledgeable one. You know what I'm saying? So when the prophet said that, before he told the Muslims that, he said, "Oh Muslims, do I not have more authority over you than even yourselves?" The Muslims answered and they said, "Yes, prophet." Then he made the statement, "Whoever I am Mawla, this Ali is also Mawla." And once he passed away, the Muslims weren't even around him. The majority of Muslims during his the commencement of the washing of his body, they were too busy at a place called Saqifa trying to figure out who was going to be in power. And when Bani Umayyad came to power after the prophet, they held a lot of racist views. And when you trace it back, the original Umayyad, the person Umayyad that Bani Umayyad is named after, he was an adopted son of that Arab clan, and he was actually a Roman. When you start doing this, so it's like, yo, this is the same kind of racial clash that's in every faith. You know what I'm saying? That's the truth of it. Everything starts off dark, but then when it gets to the future, everything's a little lighten up.
Well, hey man, thank you for sharing that information, brother, man. It seems. I mean, hey, brother, man, we know racial tension, you know, exists pretty much anywhere, man. You know what I mean? And we have to be the ones wise and know how to navigate through those particular situations and circumstances in order to sustain and maintain the harmony. So I appreciate you demonstrating that measure. Let me get another person on and see if somebody else want to come on. But I appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, brothers, for having me on. And I just want to leave you with this. When it comes to, and this is for Muslims everywhere, don't let the people lie about the prophet's tone of skin. You know what I'm saying? Because we know, but a lot of the people don't know. And they believe in these hadiths that were written after the prophet by the clan of Bani Umayyad, which lightened him up. But all the sources, especially about Abdul Muttalib, says that he was the father of 10 lords, all of them darkest night.
Indeed.
Yes, sir. But thank you for having me on, brother, man. And salam alaikum to you, brothers. And I hope you have a blessed day and Juma Mubarak.
Thank you. God bless you, bro. Peace.
Bless you. Anybody else? Questions, please. Any questions for the brother? Questions. The link is in the chat. He's here for a little while longer. So we want him to be able to exercise his time wisely.
But Sheikh Seven, you can ask me a question, even
if
nobody you can ask me a question so that we don't just stall the time.
I do have another question. I just didn't want to be greedy, brother. I just didn't want to be greedy. Let's get to the point of, and I'm only bringing up strong points that affect our community, especially the communities here in North America. Something that another question that we beef about: Ramadan, and when is it time for Ramadan? This is an argument that come up in our communities every year, without ceasing. So could you talk to us about Ramadan a little bit?
Yeah. So the month of Ramadan is mentioned on the Hijr calendar, which is the Arabian calendar. By the way, when people say Islamic calendar, there's no such thing as Islamic calendar, right? So Quran chapter 9 verse 30 says, God says when he created the heavens and the earth, the count of months were 12 months, and 4 of them are sacred, meaning dedicated to him. Like out of the 12 months, we have our own activities to do all the other things. Then we have 4 months that we dedicate to him, meaning sacred. Now, Quran chapter 2 verse 185, God revealed the Quran in the month of Ramadan, which means at the time of the Prophet, on that calendar they were using, the Arabian calendar, he revealed it. And I have videos that I did which shows that it is on the 17th of Ramadan, second year after Hijrah. So in order to practice the act of abstinence, this act of abstinence didn't start with us, as people who claim that, fasting was only ordained in the Quran and we don't find it anywhere else. One thing, I was talking to one Christian friend, right? And we were looking over a verse from Jeremiah chapter 36, verse 9. And we were having this discussion, right? And he says, and it came to pass in the 5th year of Joachim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, in the 9th month, that they proclaimed a fast. The word in Hebrew is chom. Chom. In Arabic is saum. In Hebrew is chom. So they proclaimed or declared a fast before the Lord to all the people in Jerusalem and to all the people that came from the cities of Judah unto Jerusalem. But they did it in the 9th month. When you take Ramadan on the Hijr calendar, it's the 9th month also. Right? Now, one of the interesting chapters or interesting books, if you want to read, in case you're curious to read Bible, and one of the interesting chapters you should be reading is Jeremiah, the book of Jeremiah and the book of Isaiah. You see these 2 books? They are very, very interesting. They have a lot of gems you can take from. So when you put it, when God was talking in Quran chapter 2 verse 83, he says, "Oh, you who believe, the abstinence, which is the fasting, has been decreed to you just as it was decreed to those before you, so that they may be pious." So the Lord has always been in connection with the believers and the people. And whatever you are doing now is not a new thing. It has been done before, right? But the specificity of using the 9th month raises the eyebrow. The 9th month, why 9th month is mentioned. But anyways, you come to the Quran, you have the Hijr calendar, you have Ramadan. So God mentioned it. So that month you are supposed to practice abstinence because it's the month of the Quran. And the purpose of the Quran is to attain piousness. The Quran is here to lead you to piousness, to show you the right things you need to do. So in that month, when you observe the abstinence, you are not only abstaining from food and drink, from eating and drink, you abstain from lust also. So it is something that helps you spiritually. And for people who want to understand anything about fasting, abstinence, it gives you a spiritual connection with God, right? So the notion of abstinence that you find in the Quran and the laws that God has stipulated concerning fasting the sectarians have actually contradicted a lot of the things that God said in the Quran. For instance, they will tell you that when you miss some days of fasting, you have to make up the missed days. That statement is not coming from the book of God. Where God says
even in the prayer, they say you got to make up prayer.
It doesn't make sense. The point is, if somebody tells you you have to make up prayer, you go to chapter 18 of the Quran, you read from verse 9 to verse 21. Guess what? When you read those verses, the youth who served God, who were the servants of God, they slept for 309 years, which literally we can say they were dead for 309 years, but they came back to life. And there was a masjid, there was a mosque at their time. The question is, according to God, God is telling us he made them sleep. He only said if you were to see them with your eyes, you might think they were dead. So now they slept for 309 years. So are you telling me when they woke up, they have to make up for all the 309 years of salat? You see the problem? The point is, when the salat passes over, when the salat passes you, it's gone. Like right now, I'm talking to you. It's evening time. The reason why I gave you that time frame, because I have to go and do my salat. You understand? So the weather is still, because from where I am, normally I can see the sunset and I can see the weather, how it is. If it's about to get dark, I know how many minutes it will take to get dark. So the point is, according to God, you shouldn't let entertainment, business, and your kids distract you from the remembrance of God. But sleeping is natural, because God says, do not approach the salat until or unless you know what you are saying. So now if I'm sleeping, I'm intoxicated. Guess what? That is why sometimes I can sleep and I want to wake up after 1 hour. And guess what? I'll wake up after 5 hours. And I'll be like, oh, time passed. Because you are already in the deep state. Imagine waking somebody up to tell the person, get up, get up from sleep, go and pray. He wake up telling you, what? Even if you say, come, let's go let me take you and go and finish you, terminate your life. He will go because he is already in a state of intoxication. Yes. You see, so people should understand this. There is nowhere God says you should make up for a missed salat. It doesn't exist. I challenge anybody to show me a verse. It doesn't exist. Now let's go to the issue of fasting. God never said you should make up any missed days. What he said is, if you are sick or traveling, then a number of other days. He didn't say a number of the same days. Other days, meaning we are fasting within a month. So let's say I'm sick for 3 days or I'm traveling for 3 days. Guess what? I'm exempted from fasting. So what do I need to do? When I finally reach my destination, I can now do the fasting there. Because if I'm traveling from, let's say, Europe to America right now, the time difference, the time zone is different. If I'm leaving here from the night time here right now, or let's say I'm leaving here in the evening time, I can come to America, then it's still morning. You understand? So it will be stressful for me. So I need to, God has exempted, you are exempted from that. And when you are sick, you didn't choose to be sick. It came naturally. So why will God say you have to make up the missed day? No, tell me officially in our working routine, according to the collective agreement. If I'm working for a company and I'm sick and they give me leave, do I have to make up for those days? So where is the logic there when people say you are sick and you are traveling, so you have to make up? Where is the logic there? And the last time I checked, God says he is not putting any difficulty upon you in the religion. So who is making this difficult? Anyways, Quran chapter 2 verse 184. Then apart from if you are sick or traveling, God says a number of other days. So within the month, you have other days ahead of you. You can be sick for 1 week. You get better, There are other days still, so that you can get the blessing of the month. So you do some of the days ahead of you in the same month. Because if I ask you to do fasting in Ramadan, and Ramadan is past, and you tell me you are making up the missed days of Ramadan in a month which is not Ramadan, is that Ramadan? God only said you should fast in the month of Ramadan. So now, in the same chapter 2, verse 184, then God says, وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ يُطِيقُونَهُمْ فِدْيَةُ الطَّعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. Then he says, as for those who will endure, meaning you struggle during the fasting, I might be able to do it, but let's say due to the weather, summertime, it's too long for me. Or maybe the darkness will not appear. I will struggle, especially for those based in the North Pole side. In Finland, I'm based in Finland, but it doesn't normally affect me that much. Sometimes I can fast for 22 hours, right? But those in the northern part, sometimes they don't get to see darkness at all. So in that case, they don't have a choice. They have to just what? Feed the poor person. You ransom. It's like to redeem yourself. To ransom by feeding the poor person. This is what God asked for. So if somebody will actually struggle fasting, and God says he should ransom or redeem himself by feeding a poor person, how are you going to tell me when somebody is sick or traveling, they should now make up the missed days? How about them? Can they feed somebody? If God wanted them to make up the missed days, can they feed somebody instead? Quran chapter 22, verse 78. God says he's the one who has chosen you and has not placed any difficulty upon you in the religion. So now who is making the religion difficult? Who? You see the point?
Yeah, I get the point. I do.
That's
we got a super chat. It says from Creator the Boundless Universe. Apologize, I had to let the brother complete his thought. Didn't want to interrupt him. But we have. He says, for those who do not read Arabic, what would be their best transliterate a Quran for them to start with? Before you even say it, I want to say, go ahead and say it. This brother right here, it has translated the Quran, so I would love to put.
Let me put it on the page, then they can see it. I did a full translation of the Quran. Let me put it on the page. Then they can see it. They can go to the internet and see it, and it is there also. They can grab a copy if they want. This is you can share it to the page so that they can see it. So that is the Quran on the internet. You can find it. The Great Koran is written like that. thegreatkoran.com, right? thegreatkoran.com, and you can go to the chapters. This was done with the help of a brother called Muhammad, right? So you see all the chapters available like this. You can click on it, and it has translation, transliteration, and the Arabic. So if you don't want the Arabic to see the Arabic language there, you can take the Arabic here verses out. Then you are stuck with only the English translation and the transliteration. And likewise, if you don't want to have you want to have the Arabic, but you don't want to have the transliteration, you can also take it off. Then you are left with just the Arabic and the translation without the transliteration, right? So it is reader friendly, word for word, and I guarantee you will enjoy every bit of it when you read it. But there's a hard copy also available, and I have the website. You can find it when you go to the main page of this website, the Great Koran. You can find it there, right? So yes, there's quite some few translated out there I can recommend, right? But for now, if this is available, I will recommend you check this out for yourself and use it to be doing your daily studies, and that will help you, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yeah. So
yes. Go ahead.
The reason is I have to actually go and pray. I will have stayed longer, a bit extra, but my time is up,
Yes.
And But I think we can still do this another time. Why not?
Yeah, let's please do it another time. You just let me know when the next best time is for you,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
and we'll coordinate that way.
And by the way, happy Independence Day, right, to you guys over there. I don't know how it is, but I know some people might have,
Oh
issues
yeah,
with this kind of Independence Day kind of thing. For instance, myself, I don't celebrate Ghanaian Independence Day. I don't see any sense in it, right?
yes, sir. Well,
But yes,
as
for
for
some of the viewers,
yes, and Creative Around This Universe said thank you.
yeah, exactly.
I want to say blessings to you, brother. I really thank you for being on the platform and sharing your wisdom.
Thank you, thank you.
Um, like I said, just get with me. Let me know how we could coordinate another show. I'll be glad to have you back on. Bring some more questions, and bring we can do a maybe somebody might contact me and ask me, tell me they want to have a dialogue with you. We could do
Yeah,
it
yeah,
right here.
sure.
And
Sure, sure, sure. I'm open for all that, right? Usually, when people could contact you and say, "I want to have a dialogue," they don't actually know me.
right,
Like people who know me, I'm
right.
not boasting and I'm not joking. People who actually know me wouldn't dare can't say they want to have a debate or dialogue. Yeah. So usually when you see people bluffing, I want to face this guy. If you ask them, have you ever watched 1 hour of his video? They will tell you no.
Man,
You
hey, listen,
understand?
I see why. I see why they.
Mhm.
I see why they run.
Yeah.
I see why they run. I see why they run because you come hard, brother, and you come with hard facts. So
Facts. You be presented there. And by the way, I just want to say this on record so people could know. I actually gave Dr. Umar Johnson a copy of the hard copy of the Quran. He has curiosity to go through and read it for himself. So I gave him a copy to see it. And I think when the right time comes, he gets to know, because I've seen his videos where he spoke in the concept of saying that any religion which has to be given to him by somebody, he's not interested. But the point is, somebody in terms of another race giving you a concept of, but from the angle he's looking at it, I guess at the right time he will get to understand the perspective that Islam is actually from God, not from the Arabs and not from anybody but God. Right? So God doesn't want you to become a slave of somebody in a religion. You're
right,
actually a servant of God. There's nowhere
right.
God said Arabs are superior to white people or white people are superior to Africans. Nowhere God ever said that.
I mean,
Right?
in the Great Koran, if I ain't mistaken, it says that Allah created man in nations and tribes that they may get to know each other and not despise each other.
Yes, to
Therefore,
recognize.
the differences are supposed to be acknowledged and appreciated. You know what I'm saying? You should
Yes,
want to be yourself.
that's the point. Look, Baba Shuaib, when I do what I do, I have people in the Arabian side supporting what I do. I have people in the Caucasian side supporting what I do. I have people in the Asian side, Chinese side, supporting what I do. I have people from Africa supporting what I do. Because the idea of segregation is a mindset to divide and conquer. But that's not what God represents. God wants to bring unity regardless of the color or race.
The skin, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So sometimes people don't understand this, but these segregations, they happen through indoctrination. People cause them. Look, I'm based in Finland, right? My children are mixed race kids. Look,
Okay,
when my kids go to the playground, they mingle with other kids easily, right?
easily.
The moment you see a Caucasian kid, a white kid, staying away from my child, it means the kid has been indoctrinated. Because naturally, kids are friendly. They can go with each other easily without judging the skin or something. But the moment a kid is told, stay away from this kind of person, this color, this color, this color, that color, then you know indoctrination has taken place already. You see the point? So with
Absolutely.
my kid, I tell them, hey, wherever you go, feel free, socialize. But the moment you see somebody trying to look down on you, don't give them that urge. Stay away from that kind of person. You see? So thank you very much, Sheikh Seven, for
Yes.
having me. I appreciate you for giving me the platform to spread the gospel, I would say.
Yes, and we appreciate you, brother, man. You got much. I know you. I know for a fact you got a lot more to give. So I would love to get you back on.
I do.
I just put the brother's TikTok link in the chat, so you can get that TikTok link, and I'm pretty sure you
Yeah,
can follow his TikTok, and it'll get you to every. He's on Instagram,
yeah,
Facebook.
exactly. As
So he's
even if when they go to the greatkoran.com, that website containing the Quran, when they look below the website, it has
mm-hmm.
all my channels there, down there, all my channels to my social media handles. They will see it there. So I do put some reels, shorts. At the same time, I do have live lectures where I have videos where I put contents where people can learn and study with and benefit from, right? And this is all for the sake of God, nothing, no strings attached. Thank you.
Yes. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. Yes. So till we meet again, and I want to give shout outs to all my audience that also watching, brothers like Rachel Green, Abdul
Yeah.
Samad, Sister Aram, all of you watching, Sister
Honest
Jess,
to you.
my mom, Sister Khadija, based in United States, from Philadelphia. Actually, she actually established a connection between myself and Omar Johnson. So I appreciate her a lot. So I appreciate everybody in the comment section. If I get to mention your name and anything, I apologize. But yes, I appreciate your support and it's needed. God bless you all.
God
So
bless
this
you.
is where I have to say peace be upon you and thank you, Sheikh Seven, for
Yes,
having
sir.
me as a guest.
Salam.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Salam. Peace.
Wa alaikum salam. For everybody, please hit the subscribe. For everybody, please hit the subscribe. Everybody, please hit the subscribe. Hit the like button. If you want to support, the Cash App is in the chat. You can send me a Cash App. You can send me a super chat. Honors and gratitude to creator of the boundless universe for the $3. What is that? The $3 super chat. Many nations come together is one ummah. Yes, yes, that's a fact. I completely agree. I completely agree. Um, created a balanced universe. I want to say honors and gratitude for always supporting me. I truly appreciate you. And let me do this before I even get off. I want to do this right quick, brother. Let me do this. Let me do this. Okay, you are a moderator. Yep. So you need to have your wrench. Um, yeah, I gotta do this one again. Gonna do this one again, inshallah. Inshallah. I thank everybody. Love the chat. I love your support. Continue to support. We're gonna have more of Brother Baba Shuaib, the correctional officer, on. We're gonna have others from the community of the Quran only community. If you have other brothers and sisters in the Quran only community that you would recommend to come on Let's Think podcast, place their links in the chat. Place that or send them to me. I'll put my email in the chat, or you can send me the videos personally. You can find me on Facebook. I'm Sheikh7 Islam L on Facebook. I'm Sheikh7 on Instagram. You can find me at Let's Think Podcast on TikTok. You can find me at Sheikh7 Islam L on TikTok as well. But I'm always reachable you can always reach me. So you can place it in the chat. You can find me, let me know. Thank you again. Created a balanced universe. You know, I love, man. I truly appreciate your participation. I truly do, and everyone who participates and everyone who supports me. So until then, I give my love, peace and love. We out. Assalamu alaikum.